Story 1. The footprints by the window. The first time I stepped into the manager's room, I remember thinking it didn't belong to the rest of the office. The halls outside smelled like cheap printer ink, coffee left too long on hot plates, and the faint perfume of whatever the receptionist decided to wear that day. But when you crossed the threshold into that office, all of it vanished. It was like someone had sealed the air shut years ago and locked it in. The walls were the same pale beige as the rest of the floor. The same framed motivational posters with sunsets and sailboats. The same standard issue furniture. And yet nothing felt ordinary. I wasn't the only one who thought so. Lila, from accounting, told me about her night alone with the room. She wasn't dramatic by nature. She had 3 kids, a mortgage, and no time for ghost stories. But she carried something in her face when she told it. The kind of seriousness that keeps you from laughing. It was a Friday, late. Everyone else had left except her. The building went quiet in stages, as it always does. Phones stopped ringing, chairs scraped back, keyboards clicked and then silenced. She was the only light left burning in the maze of cubicles. The hum of the air conditioner and her typing were the only sounds. At some point she realized she wasn't alone. She heard the steps first. Not from the hall, from inside the manager's office. A steady back and forth, pacing. Not hurried, not casual, but deliberate, heel to toe. Like someone waiting for news or deep in thought. She waited for it to stop, but it didn't. The steps never broke rhythm, never paused. No squeak of the chair, no sound of drawers opening, nothing but pacing. Annoyed, she stood up. She figured it was Hanley, the manager, and she'd have to make small talk before she could print her last report. She walked to the door and pushed it open. The lights were off. The blinds were drawn. The air inside was colder, sharp against her face, and carried a faint smell of metal, like a handful of pennies rubbed in her palms. The pacing stopped the second she opened the door. "Hello," she called, flicking on the light. The room was empty. Desk neat, chair pushed in, papers stacked. No one behind the blinds, no one crouched by the cabinet. She almost laughed at herself, chalking it up to her imagination. She went back to her desk, but when she turned one last time to shut the door, she froze. The carpet near the window bore 2 faint depressions. Not shoes, not boots, bare feet. They were pointed slightly inward, as if someone had been standing there, motionless, watching her, for a very long time. She shut the door hard and never stayed late again. A month later, she quit. She said it was family stress. But once, outside during a smoke break, she told me the truth. Whatever stood in that room wasn't Hanley, wasn't anyone alive, and it had noticed her. Story 2. The man in the photograph. Paul worked nights, vacuuming the offices after everyone had gone home. He was a big guy, ex-security guard, didn't scare easily. But the night he quit, he walked out without even collecting his pay. He told me what happened over a coffee weeks later. It was around midnight. He was vacuuming the hallway outside the manager's room. The door cracked open so the cord could pass through. He heard something over the drone of the vacuum. Not footsteps this time, breathing. Long, deliberate inhales, followed by slower, heavier exhales. Paul killed the vacuum and froze. The breathing didn't stop. It was just behind the door. He thought maybe a homeless person had broken in. Or worse, someone had been locked inside by accident. He shoved the door open, ready to swing the vacuum tube like a bat. The room was empty. Cold, like always. He swore the smell was there too, like rust and damp paper. But what stopped him was the frame on the wall, the company founding photo. We've all seen it 1,000 times, 6 men shaking. Hands in front of the office back in 1973. Stiff suits, wide ties, all smiling. Only this time, it wasn't the same. The man on the far left wasn't looking at the camera anymore. His head was turned slightly, and his eyes were fixed on Paul. His smile had widened, stretched too far, showing too many teeth. Paul staggered back, thinking he was seeing things. He blinked. The photo was normal again. Everyone smiling, facing forward. Except he noticed something that hadn't been there before. In the reflection of the office window, behind his own shoulder, a man was standing. The same man from the photo. The one who wasn't supposed to be looking. That was the last night Paul ever worked in the building. He never went near the manager's door again. Story 3. The last meeting. Years later, after Hanley retired, the office brought in a new manager named Turner. Young guy, too confident, thought all the stories were office ghost nonsense. He made jokes about it. He even told us once that he'd spend the night in that creepy-ass room, just to prove it's fine. One evening, he did exactly that. He locked himself in after hours with a bottle of whiskey and a Bluetooth speaker blasting music. We all laughed about it. Monday morning, until we realized no one had seen him since Friday. Security swore they'd checked the building that weekend. The door to the manager's office was locked, blinds drawn, everything silent. His car was still in the lot. His phone sat dead in the top desk drawer. But Turner himself was gone. When the police came, they broke open the door. The room was colder than usual. The desk chair was pulled out just slightly, and on the surface of the desk, pressed deep into the wood, were 5 fingertip marks, as though someone had gripped it while being dragged backward. The only other thing they found was the old photograph on the wall, the one of the 6 founders. Except this time, there were 7 men in the picture, and the new one, the 7th, was Turner. No one uses the manager's office anymore. The door stays locked. The blinds stay closed. HR works out of the conference room down the hall. They say it's for renovations, but we know better. That room doesn't let go of the people it wants.